everyone, it is Juice here, and Genshin has dropped some absolute bombshell reveals on us. The Hydro Mualani, the Dendro Kinich, and the Geo Kachina. We've finally got these characters confirmed to be the upcoming units in Genshin Impact version 5.0, so I thought it would be fun to discuss the reveal of these units, potentially update my ideas on what I think they will all be like, and give my own opinions on what I think of these units. Let's get into it. I'm going to start with Mualani since she's the first character that Hoyoverse posted. This makes me assume that she'll be the very first Natlan character to release. Immediately, I want to point out how amazing this drip marketing style looks. It feels like they put so much color and personality into the design of the reveals this time around. Look at the color splashes, they have comic effects on them. Really helps make this artwork feel alive, not to mention the super neat colored outline and colorful shading style that they've got going on here. Now, to be fair, this might not be for everyone. I've heard plenty of complaints about how Natlan feels too childish, or how all this stylization and color feels a bit too off-putting for the Nation of War. I can get where those complaints are coming from. Natlan's region on the whole, including the map, has totally subverted what I thought it was going to be like. Now, whether this is a good or a bad thing, I don't know yet. I have to explore the region myself, and hear the music, and witness the aesthetics all working in harmony before I can release my final judgment on whether I like how this region is going so far. The character designs and colorfulness, thus far, have felt very different even by Genshin Impact standards, and I quite enjoy the visual spectacle of it. Some characters have been a miss for me, others a total hit. Mualani is probably the only character that sits in the middle for me, where I just kind of find her decent but nothing groundbreaking design-wise. Cute though. Big water-type gym leader vibes, as I've said in the past. She's riding a Sharpedo, which is pretty neat. There's tons of personality packed into this entire image, I dig it a lot. They're really going on the nose with the fact that she's a Hydro character. Definitely the most Hydro-feeling Hydro character that we have to date, dethroning Kokomi, who held that title previously in my opinion. Kit-wise, we obviously have to wait and see, but I'm still pretty hard convinced that she'll be a Catalyst or Polearm user. I did go pretty crazy in my last video saying she could even be a rival to Noivellette, which, alright, fair, maybe that's a bit of an insane statement, but it's also worth mentioning how Linny came out of nowhere and became one of the strongest Pyro DPSs around immediately upon Fontaine's release. Also, Yelan is a random spy woman, yet she's also incredibly powerful to this day. Not every strong character is lore important. Even so, it's still worth discussing how Vaporize might be a bit of a boring archetype, so they'll go for something more untapped like Taser instead. Vaporize usually favors the Pyro over the Hydro, however, so I do still think that forward Vape would be fun with her, especially since we're entering the Nation of Pyro, and more Hydro DPSs would be nice, because as of now, Noivellette is our only true Hydro DPS that isn't overly restricted to one team, or is more of an enabler as opposed to a DPS, and I'm kind of hoping she doesn't go down the Dendro route. I want her to be a crit-based DPS. We have more than enough enablers for Bloom and Hyper Bloom. I'd actually love to see Freeze work with her since we don't have a lot of Hydro-enabled Freeze teams. We do have Ayato Ganyu and Child Ganyu Freeze, but those two teams don't see a lot of play, so this idea would be cool and interesting. Flexibility in general would be neat since I don't want her to just be Vape only. With that being said, I'd rather Vape only if all of her other teams turned out to be 50 really bad ones. She better have something to do with surfing in her ult, or riding her shark in her ult like how Linny rides his cat in a hat. That'd be neat. Not to mention her travel mechanic, also looking neat, but in order for it to actually be worth using over Farina in gameplay, who essentially power crept the need to swim, she'd need to massively increase her travel speed in the water, and that would have to work in every single region, and it'd have to take no stamina whatsoever with a really long duration. Does that sound a bit overpowered for Overworld? Well, yes, but that's because Farina's Jesus powers are already quite overpowered for the Overworld, so you'd need to fight fire with fire, or Hydro with Hydro in this case. And please have a fast-paced playstyle, and if she is a Catalyst, I seriously hope she won't have charged attacking stamina issues. Aside from all that, I'm fairly excited for her super cute units. Now for the guy I'm personally most excited for, Kinich the Dendro Chad. I love the toothless eyes, and outside of that, his drip marketing also looks incredible, the colors are fantastic, and really make him pop. He seems really cool. Also, he has a pixel gecko at the bottom, which looks pretty neat. Is it the same one from before that can transform into different animals? Wonder what the deal with that is. Online, before the Ignition teaser dropped, Kinich seemed to be the character getting the most hype online, and I can see why. He looks absolutely sick, and is certainly the best design out of the 5.0 drip marketed reveals in my opinion. In all of his trailers and reveals, Geo moments, he appeared to be floating or flying in some way, shape, or form. This leads me to believe that Kinich will have some sort of ability where he can fly. If this is the case, then I hope it's for a longer time than Wanderer, and it isn't limited to continuous hops like Xian Yun. I do think that this exploration power creep is a little insane, and maybe a bit too overpowered for the overworld, as it totally defeats the purpose of stamina in mechanics. I think from a game design perspective, which listen, I have zero experience in, I'm not claiming to be an expert or anything right now, I'm just spitballing, seems a little odd. But on the other hand, I absolutely love being able to fly in games, it's very freeing, so if they handle this right, then I think he will have an absolutely broken and fun to use travel mechanic. Personally, I think you should never pull a character for their exploration passive, but clearly Natlan is stepping up exploration mechanics with Saurians, and how every character seems to have their own unique traveling gimmick, so I look forward to seeing that the most, honestly. His weapon is obviously Claymore because he was using one in the trailer. I just seriously hope his playstyle isn't overly slow, because slow Claymores suck to play in terms of feel, but maybe only I feel that way, I don't know. In terms of kit, I really want him to have something to do with burning. A Dendro character releasing not too long after Emilie to me suggests that this will be the case, because currently Emilie is releasing into the game with no real support or team comp that can really help her reach peak potential, because with the way that it works, burning makes Emilie good, Emilie does not make burning good. So I hope that Kinich will be an on-fielder DPS who can work in harmony with Emilie to help out massively with burning. The other route that they could take would be making him a burning support. I'd be in favor of this as well, because we literally don't have a proper reason to run a burning team outside of Emilie as of now, and Kinich would end up opening the doors to even some non-Emilie burning teams if this becomes the case. If not burning, then I want to see him deal with Burgeon, as we also lack a dedicated buffer when it comes to Burgeon cores. Just something to do with the Pyro-Dendro interaction on the whole would be nice. Alhaitham is already so flexible and easy to build, to pick up and play, so it's kind of hard to make a Dendro DPS better than him when he takes care of nearly everything so well. But the one thing Alhaitham doesn't do is Pyro-Dendro related teams. So this would not only make Kinich a unique unit that enables a playstyle which no other character really does, it'd also make him separate from Alhaitham, which would provide Kinich his own unique pull value. Plus, if burning comes back properly, then Dia might as well. Or I can just keep coping, yeah, let's go with that latter option. I want his animations to highlight how cool he is, his strong and serious looking nature, he appears sharp and agile to me, so if his playstyle feels really slow, then consider me disappointed, but even if his playstyle is not what I want at all, I'll be pulling for him anyway, because his design is absolutely my kind of thing, and Hoyo really hit the nail on the head with this fantastic character design. I'm the least interested in her, so I'm not going to give Kachina that much of a spotlight. To me, her most interesting quality is her travel mechanic. It can climb up walls. Kirara can too, but she takes up stamina, so will Kachina be faster than Kirara? Will she take up any stamina? How long will her duration be? How fast will Kachina be compared to a C1 Yelan plus Sayu plus Wanderer plus Clorant skill spam team, where you constantly have some kind of quick movement available, or even Rosaria at nighttime when she speeds up your entire team. Now, I assume she's going to be a 4-star, so quite accessible at that, so if everybody can get at least one copy of her, I hope that we'll all be pleased with her travel mechanics. I really hope that Constellations aren't going to lock the max potential of her overworld Saurian abilities. That'd really disinterest me in her, unless she's on Kinich's banner, since I'm going all in on that. Playstyle-wise, I want her to be Navia's Geo buffer. I have literally no care in whatever else she would do. Just do that. Ito has Goro, so there is genuinely no excuse as to why Navia can't have a proper 4-star support either. Chiori works, sure, but the problem is that there's still anti-synergy with Chiori's preference for construct-based teams. She is Navia's best installed teammate in spite of this, however, so imagine how neat it would be to get a proper support for Navia that'd bring her up to the level of Linny, for example. Navia right now is still a very powerful DPS, don't get me wrong, but the concept is right there on the table, especially considering how unique Navia's kit is. It could use a Geo support that works exclusively for her. And I think being able to choose between on and off-field and Kachina might be interesting, because you can choose to play Navia as an off-field skill nuker who only comes back on field once you have enough crystal shrapnel, or you can use her normals in between skill nukes to generate more crystal shrapnel. So by being able to choose between Kachina playstyles, you can pick between Navia playstyles as well, but I hope that they won't half-bake Kachina's kit if that ends up being the case. Kachina's constellations should solely focus on improving her synergy with Navia and other attack scaling Geo units. Reminder that Ningguang is also attack scaling and could really use some help, and Chiori is split scaling. That also raises the option of Kachina buffing defense percent and attack percent, so she can really be a one-for-all Geo unit. But I'd rather they hone in on attack scaling Geo units because it's a niche that actually needs filling as of now, and Goro covers the def scalers perfectly fine. I don't care whether she's skill or burst based, but chances are she'll be burst based since she'd be a 4-star off-field support in my ideal world. On the whole, Kachina either support Navia or the other attack scaling Geos, otherwise you're gonna fade into 4-star irrelevancy. Otherwise, she is a decent design for a kid model. Usually they look pretty bad in my opinion, but I think Kachina's design is alright. Now for the part that literally nobody asked for, my opinions. Kinich is the best looking one, by far. To me, he's the must pull of 5.0, and while I don't think he'll be the strongest because early Hydros tend to be really good, think 3.1 Nilou, 4.1 Noivelette, therefore making Mualani next in line for the throne, his design easily clears all the others in Natlan's except for Moivu Ika, who he is on par with design-wise in my opinion. I'm getting him regardless of his kit for sure. Mualani I'm only picking up if she's good. Hydro is the best element in the game as of now, so that's promising. Maybe I'll change my mind once I meet her in this story, but as of now, I just think she's cute and that's it. No other genuine attachments other than finding her to have some cool gimmicks and a neat look to her. Another thing that could really convince me is if they totally subvert my expectations with her and end up making a really fun kit with Mualani. Otherwise, she's a potential skip as I have a C6 Farina already. I'm really not in need of another Hydro DPS. Farina's cuter anyway, but Venti clears both. So, Kachina. I'll pull her if I can, mostly because of her travel mechanics, but kit-wise, it's either be about Navia or I'm not interested. Simple as that. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on her, but on the whole, I've never particularly cared for the small kid model characters. On the whole, I think there's something for everyone here. I really like the variety that we've got and that we're getting 2 new units in a row in 5.0 releases. Compare this to the release of Sumeru where we got 1 standard unit. Granted, Tidnari's Dendro, which was a whole new element at the time, and Fontaine's release brought us Linny, who is extremely strong, but it's still refreshing to have something new to look forward to one after another. But I could see this being a negative for people who wanted to save up more in between the releases of these units, and just people who want both of them in general. Double-edged sword here. Honestly, the 5.0 drip marketing all looks fantastic, and I'm very pleased at the style and spunk of it all. Whether it fits the Nation of War, I personally don't know yet. I have to wait and see. I've updated quite a few of my speculations from last time, and I'd say I'm being reasonable enough, but let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Kinich is definitely the star of the 5.0 show for me here, but I think all 3 of the units shown here today have potential to be something great if Hoyo goes in the right direction. But who knows, my expectations will more than likely be subverted. Hopefully this video was able to hype you up for the upcoming 5.0 Natlan characters. This has been Juice, signing out, and I think that Kinich's pixel guy friend is pretty neat.